Welcome back to Unfiltered Real Talk with Christine and Chrisanthony. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by my co-host sending me a text. All right, guys, Chris is back. He's been gone for 2 weeks. 2 podcasts later, he's back. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
He is going to take the lead on today's podcast. I'm going to sit back and listen to what he has to say, just like y'all. You know I'll have something to say about it, though, so, just hang on. But just to recap what he's going to be talking about. The week before last, we talked about dating multiple people at the same time. So, because you gotta be careful, because when you end up in a relationship, let's say you have 3 people you're dating and you're telling them all, oh, I think I'm in love with you. Oh, you're perfect. You're beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful. And then you end up with one of them. And then she finds out and she wonders, why did you end up with me if you were hot on the trail of that one? And I mean, does it get confusing? Should we avoid that? What do we do? So that we talked about that for an hour 2 Tuesdays ago. And then last Tuesday, we talked about my favorite topic, which is, it's really not, but I rant on about it. Dead bedroom, dead marriage, basically a sexless marriage, or a very lacking in sex marriage. And what to do about it. We talked about what it looks like, what can cause it, and how to, solutions, things you can do. I always feel like don't bring a problem to the marriage unless you have a solution. They might not like your solution, but you got to have a solution, right? You can't just bring the problem and be like, now what? You got to be willing to work on things. So there are things you can do for a dead bedroom, and we talked about that. And so now we are going to get Mr. Chris to weigh in, since he wasn't here for 2 weeks.
Wow.
He was out playing in the Caribbean.
Well, all right. First of all, thank you for having me back. Thank you, everybody, for having patience with me. I know the first week when I was in the Caribbean, I was hanging out on the beach at night, and I was trying to jump in for 15 minutes and get some of the people out there and tell them live from New York and blah, blah, blah. And some of them were interested. Some of them could care less, but it was fun. So I'm just Chris doing Chris things. Thank you, Dawn, for my new mug. And before we begin, I have to tell you, our portion of the show is sponsored by our new sponsor. Thank you, because they bought us the coffee we need in the studio. Piccolini pins. Pins are these 2 different things they offer. A bracelet, all right? And this is an Italian bracelet. It's got the horn and the hand, which wards off all the bad and the evil and brings in the good. It's an old Italian ancient thing, and they put them on these beautiful stone bracelets, all right? So you can order them at piccolinipins.com, all right? Nice. They also make beautiful safety pins that you can put on here under your if you're a woman, under your brassiere. The old thing is when Italian women years ago always had a safety pin. So somewhere, no matter what was going on, they had a safety pin. So now they got these beautiful gold and silver safety pins with all the Italian history on it, the horn and the hands and different intricacies of jewelry and what have you that they can hide or put on their lapel or whatever. And it's called Piccolini pins. You can speak to Angela if they're great. God bless them. Thank you for being a sponsor. The bill is in the mail. So, with that being said, welcome back. I got a lot to say.
Good.
And
you got an hour to fill.
Christine, I listened to both podcasts, of course, in detail and watched. You're fabulous.
Thank you.
Always fabulous. It was fantastic. I was interested, and I was like, this is my podcast with this woman. I wasn't even thinking that. I was listening. So, anyway.
Good skill.
So, talk about dating multiple people. It almost brings us back to our very beginning when the whole player thing came out and all that stuff. Okay? So, it was bringing some flashbacks to me. There's a couple of things. I'm scrolling through some notes here, so bear with me a moment so I can read something, all right? Which I'll get to that in a minute. Dating multiple people, I don't think is bad, okay? Being committed to multiple people is bad.
Yeah.
Okay? which that to me is what defines the player. When you're, like you said, hey, baby, I love you. Can't wait to see you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not talking about intimacy. If you're dating and you're making out with one, making out, that's personal choice. Whatever you're doing, that's not a total commitment unless you have that commitment, okay? That you're exclusive with that one or the other. But I lost my thought now, but the dating part is not a problem, okay? That's not an issue. Commitment is an issue. So you've got to be very careful what you say and how you say it and what you do.
Okay. I have a question for you.
Yes.
So if you're dating two people, we'll just keep it at two. Keep it simple. You're dating two people, and each one, every time you see them, you're progressing. You know, you're trying to get to know them, obviously, but you're progressing, and you're saying sweet nothings. And you find that the sweet nothings you're saying are the same to both of them. I think of you day and night, or I can't stop thinking about you. I imagine our future. If you're saying things like that, okay, men and women think differently about this, because I have a feeling you're still going to say, yeah, doesn't change my opinion. But men and women think differently. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this. This is Chris's time to answer these things. But women do tend, and if it matters to a man, you may want to be cautious. Women tend to think a man is pretty skeezy if he is going to one woman and saying, gosh, I just imagine a future with you, and then going to the next woman and saying, gosh, I imagine a future with you. It's like, what the fuck? How can you imagine a future with both of them? You know, it's like, freaking figure it out. So anyway,
there's a couple things here, okay? There's a lot of ways to look at this. First of all, you're dating multiple people. One person fills one bill, one person fills the other. You're comfortable with each one of them on different levels. What do you do with that? You like them both equally.
You grow up and make a decision.
Okay, what would make the decision? I don't know. What makes the decision? I guess you have to get out a notepad and write down how many times you're thinking about X and Z.
No, I think that you look you look inside yourself and you say, when I'm with her, I feel like this. When I'm with her, I feel like this. Which one offers you at least some of the things that really matter? Because the odds are one of them is more not a fit, but there's something that's keeping you there. And the other one probably is a little better fit. Maybe not everything. So at that point, neither one is perfect, but you gotta freaking grow up and take a chance. It's always gonna be a chance. It's not gonna get any better waiting 2 or 3 weeks. It's just not. You're gonna have to take a risk and pick one. And I say, pick the one that hits the top priorities. So even if it's only one thing, maybe it's communication. Maybe they communicate with you the way you want to be communicated to, and maybe the other one doesn't. Maybe they miss it on that, but they look the way you like. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Some things are more important. Communication, affection might be more important. Sex drive might be more important. You pick the things that stand out, and it might only be one thing, but you pick it, and then you take it.
You can't. That's why I wear the Piccolini pins, because it wards off all the evil for me, because God knows. No, but anyway. First of all, you just said something about X drive or this drive. You can't make that a determining factor. That's a false.
No, that would fall under the case of affection, because sex drive they can 100% lie about.
Yes, they can. You were saying
it's more affection and attraction.
At what point do you decide to go with one person or another? That's why it's called dating. How long do you date? Want to be in a serious relationship? Do you not want to be in a serious relationship? Does one partner, acquaintance, whatever, want to be involved more than another one? Does the one that doesn't want to be involved as much offer you stuff that you really like? But the one that wants
But again, you just hit on a good point, which should be the factor in helping you to decide. If you're dating two people, and I'm going to clarify, dating multiple people is not a problem if you're not looking for a commitment and you're just out there and you're being honest about it and you're like, hey, I'm not looking for a commitment. I tend to just kind of, date. If I end up dating somebody and we click, then we do, but that's not what I'm looking for. And you make sure that you're dating women who feel the same way. Could it change? Yes, it could. But that's not, I lost my train of thought. Damn it. I've been doing that today. Go ahead.
I've been doing it all day.
It's the weather.
Bottom line is, dating is dating. That's why it's called dating. You date here, you date there. Unfortunately, when dating, feelings come involved, intimacy comes involved, and that's where it becomes convoluted. Okay? That's when you have to start making a decision. Okay? If by chance you're intimate or some form of intimacy with both people, be honest with yourself.
Player.
No. Well, is it considered a play? I don't know.
You do not. I'm sorry. If you're dating,
you're not calling me. I know you're not calling me a player.
No, I'm saying that situation, that scenario. If you're dating multiple people and you end up being intimate with all. Well,
people, I don't mean necessarily sexual. I'm saying intimate. Whether it's cuddling on the couch, heavily kissing.
No, that's okay because you're trying to find out if you've got that energy. That's okay.
Well, it's still a form of intimacy. Okay.
But I thought you meant sex. Sex.
And eventually it could lead to some form of.
And if it does, then you
intimacy.
need to tell the other person, hey, just so you know, that other person that I'm dating, we had sex. You're not going to do that because she's going to be like, okay, adios. That should tell you right there what the right answer is.
Right. But I think you have to decide. Some people might say, well, you got to have sex with both of them. See where your feelings lie.
Nope.
I don't necessarily
Those are
agree with that.
scuzzy people. Look, there are people that have integrity and there are people that don't. If you sleep with somebody and then days later, and someone in this room is going to know who I'm talking about, and I'm going to say it's okay, especially compared to what you're talking about. If you sleep with somebody and then you decide they're not for me, and in the meantime, maybe even while you're sleeping with them, you make a date with the person that you think may be your person. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people might not like it. Some people might not, and but there's nothing wrong with that. But actively having sex with two people, no. You can.
I agree with that.
Don't expect
absolutely not.
Don't expect women to think you have any integrity.
I agree. And I agree with the women that would feel that way. It's true. I agree. What I do think is if you do get intimate with one and you find yourself thinking about the other, let's say, is that the direction? Do you have to switch gears? Is that your clue?
I would say if you have sex with one and you're thinking about the other one and then it's over.
But is it a psychological thing? Is it you're intimate with this one person because it's hot and heavy, but of course your mind is going to go to the other person as well because you're either feeling guilty or thinking.
Right. That's why. That's why I was gonna say you need to wait until it's over. You've left, and then you need to have a sit down with yourself the next day or two, and you need to be honest. Do I like the person I had sex with? And even though you were intimate, you might not. And you might be like, the other person's the one I want. Having sex with this person actually showed me that I want that one. And that happens. That does happen. That is not unusual. So that could happen. And yes, then you cut it off with the person you had sex with. Unfortunate, because it's probably going to maybe hurt them. It depends on what you told them. It could hurt them. Even if they said they wanted to be friends and had sex with you, they still could have caught some feelings when they had sex with you. So expect some pushback on it, but you're going to have to be honest with them.
No matter what you say, you're a cold-hearted snake. Intimacy bears feelings. If you're dating someone, you're dating them for a reason. You're dating them because you care about them, you like them, you're attracted to them, you enjoy them, whatever. There's going to be some feeling somewhere. It's going to be. But
Well, in the scenario that you're talking about, I agree, because you're talking about maybe over a month or two dating two people, trying to get to know them, and then suddenly you have, things got out of hand and you had sex with one of them, and ultimately it showed you that you really didn't want them, that you wanted the other person. And that's okay. That's okay, because in the moment you chose that person, but then you said, no, that I was wrong. And before it goes any further, I'm going to tell her I made a mistake. Look, it was
or
great,
him. I know
or
you're
him.
directing it as a conversation to me, but it's him or
Yeah,
her.
but you're right. Whoever, and you're going to tell them the truth. It's not going to go where we thought it was going. I'm sorry, I don't want to date anymore. And then you go to the other person and you date them, and you do not have to tell them that you slept with anybody. Now, if they ask you, if you guys have a conversation, because I don't know, diseases and stuff, and you have a conversation and it's like, when's the last time you had sex? Was it protected? You're going to answer it, and you damn well better be honest, and you just better take your lumps. I had sex last night. Deal with it. Just deal with whatever she thinks about you.
Right. Well, those questions may or may not, should or shouldn't be asked. I don't know. In
They
theory,
probably,
but
with most people, they will, just from the point of view of how many people have you been sleeping with? Have you been tested? Are we cool? Do we need to use condoms?
right,
It
right. Yeah, I
happens.
guess, yeah, makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. You know, but going back to dating the multiple people, I mean, we're going off track. We're talking about diving into having sex with them. We're talking about feelings. How do you determine your feelings? How do you determine, because I always, my famous words are situational. Each person you're with is a situation at the time. Okay. You go on a date with X. Okay. You have a great time. Good conversation. You open up, you talk about stuff. Fabulous. End the date, kiss goodnight, whatever. The next day, next week, whatever you go out with. Why? Same thing. You go out to dinner, you have a drink, you have a nice time, you have a great conversation on a different level. You feel good. What if you have equal feelings? How do you decide?
Very unlikely. It could happen. It could happen. Very unlikely. If you sit with yourself and you get honest and you really take account of all your interactions with both of them, the odds are you are going to come out with somebody that's a clear ahead, and you probably will also find out that there are things about the person that really isn't your match that you're hanging on to, like an idea that you had in your head that they were Miss Perfect or Mr. Perfect, Mr. Right, and then they turned out not to be. But gosh, things they could come around. They could, and you're lying to yourself. So you
Right.
think
Right.
that they're both equally good times. So you just need to be honest with yourself. And I think in most cases, if you're honest, you are going to come up with a clear winner. You might not like the answer because the other person might be the one that you were hoping, based usually that is based on either social status or looks. That's usually what that is. And that's superficial, and that shouldn't matter. And I think that probably happens to a lot of people. It's social status or appearance. And the other person probably has great appearance as well, but there's just something about the one that really doesn't fit. There's just something about them that I thought from the start, man, we do good together. And it's just not panning out. It's just not.
So
And it's dumb to
you're saying that people potentially make decisions for the wrong reasons, for the
right.
wrong. Okay. Okay.
100%. That's why there's so many divorces.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when does dating end?
When
When does
you
it end?
have that conversation, if you're dating multiple people and your goal, your end goal is a relationship, then obviously it's going to end. At some point you're going to be like, all right, what the hell's going on here? I can't just keep doing this. I want a relationship. At that point,
Right.
you're going to have to sit down and have that serious discussion with yourself and get really honest and figure out which one is the clear winner. And you might have to talk to friends. You might have to get some perspective. Somebody might need to point out to you, hey, it's really clear to me that B is not for you, but for some reason you think he is. I don't know what it is, but for some reason you think he is. And when I see you with A, you guys look great, you're happy, it's carefree, it seems easy, and you're probably going to be sitting there going, yeah, that's true. It really is. It has been since the beginning. And so you might need somebody to give you a little perspective, or you might be able to just sit down and have that conversation with yourself and really get honest and see who the winners. But when it's time is when you're just tired of it. Now, if you're just dating to date, it's never going to be time unless you get bit by the love bug all of a sudden and you change your mind.
Well, dating to date, see, that's the thing. I never understood that. Dating. Okay, like say dating to date. I'm going to go out to, okay, let's just, before we go here, okay. I'm going to go out to date. I'm going out to dinner with Sally. I'm going out to dinner with, Susie. I'm going out to dinner with Christine. I'm going out, at what point, if there's nothing involved, if you're not getting intimate, it's dating. Do I like them? Fine. That's okay. But aren't we all dating to be in a relationship of some sort? Usually, most of us? No?
Nope. There are, especially at our age, there are a lot of people, and I was going to say mostly men, but I'm starting to realize the more I talk to women, it's kind of even, I think. There are a lot of people that are over 50 out of long-term relationships that have said, I don't want anything. I do want to date because I want somebody to go to concerts with or whatever, but I don't want a relationship. And that is very popular now, and you just have to keep an open mind that even though you want that, you may meet somebody that's your partner, your person, but you go into it saying, I just want to date, and I might date a bunch. I have you just be honest. Look, I have a woman that I go to all my concerts with. We have a blast, but that's all it is, and whatever. And you just say, I have multiple people I go and do different things with. I have fun. I don't want a relationship, but I do want friends and I do want companions, and I enjoy just dating. And on the other end of that spectrum, you may not want a relationship, but you want sex. So that conversation would look a little different.
Well, then if that's the case, if you want sex, you need to disclose that with your people.
Right.
Person.
Yeah.
Listen, I just want to hook up.
That's what I'm saying. You might say,
no, wait a minute. Hey, Piccolini Pins is on, our sponsor, and she's saying, welcome to the show, Piccolini.
Hello.
I'm assuming, wait, I hit it by accident. Wait, what's going on here? Can I put it up?
What?
Oh, show. There it is. Did it come up? Oh, that's the typeface is different. So
yeah.
Before I go on with tangent, what do you mean that's an acquaintance?
She's talking about when I said, I have a person that I do this with, I have a person I do that with, and it's actually not an acquaintance; it's a friend. It's a friend, and some people call it dating. I don't think it's dating. I think it's having friends that are of the opposite sex. And if you're having sex with them, that's a friend with benefits. But regardless of what you want to call it, if you're not looking for a long-term committed relationship, you just tell people, I am not looking for a long-term relationship. I do want intimacy if we find that, but I don't want it to lead to anything. And you need to know that. And you also need to disclose if you are going to be sleeping with other people. Because
I agree.
Because you want to be with somebody that's going to be okay with that. Don't spring that on them. Just because they only want to be friends with benefits doesn't mean that they want to be friends with benefits with friends with friends with friends with friends.
Of course,
they may like to know.
I agree. I mean, I think intimacy and sex, even though they're the same thing, have two different meanings. Okay, sex is sex. You can have sex with anybody. Being intimate with somebody, there's feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Put that aside. Just put that on the back burner for a minute. And please, people, feel free to comment. I saw something. I actually did some research when I was away, and I saw something here, and I'm going to read it to you. It's a simple quote. It says, "The right person makes you fall in love 3 times. Makes you fall in love once with them, once with yourself, and once with life.
Yeah, I saw that the
Which
other day.
means uh, you reunite it with yourself. You feel good about yourself. You feel good about them, and you have a zest for life for this new love. I think that's the point when you know that person is right. Even if they don't know you're in love with them or you feel in love for them, that's when you know it's right. When you feel alive and you feel,
Yeah,
fresh and
agree.
you can't wait to see them. And if there's questions, if there's adversity, or
Can't read that.
um, if there's what's the word I'm looking for? If there's gray areas, okay, then that's no good. It's got to make you feel good across the board, and you got to.
Agree. And I think that's part of what I'm talking about. If you're looking for a long-term relationship and you're dating multiple people, I think number one, it's time to start shitting or getting off the pot, as they say. Once you have been, once you get to the feeling of like, when is life going to start? I mean, come on, I'm just dating and dating the same people. I got to make a decision, and then it's time to evaluate that. Take stock, and who brings out the best in you, who makes you feel good.
People in
Um,
your kids.
and do both people make you feel good at the same level? Because the odds are, if you get honest with yourself, it's just not. One of them's going to stand out, and if they don't stand out, then you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to maybe spend more time with both of them, step it up a little bit. Maybe you're going to have to, ask some certain type of questions that are important to you and see how each one responds. There's things that you're going to probably have to do to figure it out, if they're really just equal in the way they make you feel, or you need to become polyamorous. I guess that's possible.
And many people date and are selfish, want it all. So I want it all. I want what I have. I want what I have here, and I want what I have here, and I want it all. Then what?
Yeah. That happens unfortunately a lot, usually with men. And the thing is, it's usually men who really don't want a relationship. They just want to be with the women they want to be with, and that might be multiple women. And some of them do it, and they do want relationships, and they have long-term relationships with both parties. It's just something that some people do. It's not right. They don't have any integrity, and it's
Now,
horrible to do to the other person.
I have to ask this question because I want to make sure. Abby Cole and KR8, KR8, that's a great screen name. If you want to give yourself a nickname, or
Chrissy.
we can
That's
call you that.
Chrissy.
So, oh, that's
Yeah.
Chrissy. What do you agree with? And thank you, Abby, for agreeing with me. Also, what did I say that you agreed with so I can add to? I'm
Also,
pausing
Mike
like
has
they're
a
going to talk. I'm waiting for a voice. That's great. So yeah, when you get a chance, type back to that. Um,
also Mike says, if you haven't gone on the first date yet with the person you're most looking forward to dating, that you've been talking to for 3 weeks, but you haven't gone out with them yet, but you want to. That's the person you think you want. Is it wrong to have sex with another woman you just met prior to the date?
Time out. So you're saying you're dating someone in the flesh, you're speaking to
No.
someone in
Well, yeah,
the flesh.
no. That you're talking to someone for 3 weeks that you're very interested in, that you think they're the person you want to
Have
spend
you
time
seen
with.
this person?
You've seen them, yes, but you haven't met them. You haven't gone out yet. You've got a date. You're going to ask them out. You're going to ask them out. This is your plan. Your plan is, I really like this person. I think this person could be somebody. I'm going to ask them out. But before you do, a woman hits you up and you sleep with her. Is that okay?
Okay. So wait a minute. Let me just recap this. Make sure I understand what we're saying. You're dating somebody. You're physically seeing somebody. Okay. You're not exclusive, but you're dating them. You're also talking to someone on the had a first date with yet. 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
No, you're not. No, it's a one night stand that lasts 4 nights. So you've got a woman on a dating site. You have not asked her out yet, but you want to, and you know that she's the one you want to ask out. She's it. I think she's going to be my person. I don't know that for sure, but I need to ask her out. But before I ask her out, a woman hits me up on that same dating app. She wants a friend with benefits, so I go and I fuck her for 4 days. Excuse my language. And then I ask, while I'm doing that, I ask the other one out. And a couple days later, after I'm done with the friend with benefits person that I just met, a couple days later, I go out with the woman that I wanted to go out with, and I end up with her. She was my person.
You have two choices to make there. You have two defined choices to make. Okay. First off, you're a man, you're a woman, you're a human being, you have needs. Maybe it's been a while, maybe it's not been a while, whatever. You've got needs. Yep. You want physical touch. Okay. So this person that you're talking with physically, seeing or not, wants to offer that.
Right.
There may or may not be feelings. So you jump right in. The other person that you want to talk to or want to date, you haven't seen yet. So you're not doing anything wrong to that person yet. Okay?
Right.
You're not hurting that person. You're doing anything with that person. The decision has to be made. What are you doing with this person? Okay?
Right.
So at that point,
it's like what we talked about earlier, where you said, what if I had, got intimate, had sex, whatever. And I said, well, sometimes that happens. You might have sex with the other person and then decide, yeah, no, they're not right for me. They definitely aren't right for me. And you go to the other one. In this case, the only reason there was an issue was not about the sex per se, because you're right. Free agent.
Sex is sex.
He doesn't belong to anybody. He had sex with somebody, but he never met the one that he wants. He never had a date with her. So no harm, no foul.
He doesn't even know if he wants the one that he didn't meet yet.
Here's the problem. The problem that the woman had was she felt the whole 3 weeks that they were talking, she kept wondering, why doesn't he ask me out? Why doesn't he ask me out? So when they got together and she found out he had slept with somebody just before asking her out, she's like, that's why you didn't ask me out. I kept wondering why I was talking to you. I wanted to go out and you never asked me out. And then you went and slept with this person. Why? If you wanted me, why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you take me out? So there were questions. There was hurt feelings because the hurt feelings were there before the woman found out he slept with anybody. And the woman's like, it's not about you sleeping with them. It's actually about you going out with them. It's like, what made you pick them and not go out with me? We had been talking for 3 weeks. Okay. Why didn't you go out with me?
I'm gonna spin a situation.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now. I'm gonna spin the situation just a little bit.
Yeah.
Similar, I guess, could be. Someone is dating someone. They're in a relationship. No, scratch that. Someone is seeing someone. Okay? That person is in another relationship. Okay? That is on the downslide. Okay? It's on the way out. Whatever. So they tell you they're on a downslide, but they're torn. They're in this relationship. I'm conjuring a scenario. Okay, they're in a relationship with somebody that's on the downslide. They are separated, but they're still in communication. They still have whatever's going on.
They're on a break.
Maybe no intimacy, but they're together or talking or whatever. Now you're in a relationship or talking with this person and you really like each other. Okay. So now you have to, and everyone's been transparent. Okay. And you're also talking to other people. Okay. Dating, talking, whatever you want to call it. Okay. How do you handle that? Because you don't know, you could stand to lose. Granted, you have to trust your feelings and roll the dice.
That's
What
that's
makes
that
you what?
that's really always the bottom line. It's a risk. It's a risk that you have to be willing to take. And I think that the only way that you're going to be willing to take that risk is if one of the people really feels to be your person. And then I think it's always going to feel like it's worth the risk. I don't think you're really going to think about it. Now, if you don't think that anybody involved is really your person, but yeah, maybe they could be, I mean, I have a good enough time, or I like them, or whatever, they could be, then that could feel like, I'm not sure I want to take that risk yet. I'm just not
Because
there.
what if it feels so good? You're with this other person, but they're on the downside of a relationship. They're telling you one thing, they're being transparent, but it feels so nice, and you're dating someone else, and it gets very sketchy. It gets very, like the charts in the heart monitors. It's like it's crazy. It's no good. You're up and down. You're up and down. You're up and down. You're up and down. Your head.
Yeah, but that's not good. If that's the case, then the person that's in the ending, I think that's what you're saying, an ending relationship, needs to be cut loose until they get out of it entirely. Because of that, because it's up and down and up and down and up and down. That's not good for anybody. That's just not good for anybody. And I want to address what Christy said. Christy, whichever. I think as long as there is transparency when you are dating about who else you may or may not be dating, having sex with, etc., then it is okay. And I agree with that. As long as you're transparent, it should be okay. And in the scenario that Mike put forth, it was okay. The sex was okay. This is a cautionary tale for people in general. If you date multiple people, and you continuously choose other people over one of the people in the scenario, right? So you've got, say, 3 people, and you go out with everyone before you come back to this one, right? And you come back to this one, and you're transparent, and you say, yeah, I slept with so-and-so. And they, and then this person that you end up with doesn't care that you slept. You weren't with me. It doesn't matter. Thank you for telling me. That's
right.
wonderful.
And a mature person probably would have that mindset.
Right. But the cautionary part is that it is possible the woman you go back to will feel a certain way because she's going to feel like she was third choice. She may not care. She may just be so wanting a relationship that she's just going to be like, I don't care if I'm number 3. I don't care if I don't care. Thank you for the relationship. Let's go. But some women.
You're saying this person just wants a relationship of some kind.
I'm saying that a woman might not, or a man or woman might not care if they were the third option. Like, this one didn't work out. That one didn't work out. Okay, now I'll date you. Some people might be like, I really don't care. I'm having a hard time finding a partner, so let's go. Let's see if it works. But some people have a lot more self-worth than that. Some people feel that they have a lot to offer. So if they find out that they were the bottom of the pile, so to speak,
right,
they kind of might feel a little like discarded garbage.
I don't like to say that. If you're dating people, you're dating each person for a different reason. Okay?
Well, that's not what this scenario is, but yes, correct.
I understand. But you said, okay, this one didn't work, check. All right, I'm going to try you, check. Go to the next one, check. All right, maybe this is good.
Each of them are individual. It's like, I'll go to this one, I'll go to this one. Right. And then, you end up with that one. And I'm just saying, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's a cautionary tale. It's possible somebody might wonder, how come you didn't ask me out? How come you asked out everybody else before me? Because that doesn't make me feel like, obviously I wasn't, something that you thought you really wanted.
I think.
But now you do.
the emotional, I think I'm agreeing with KR8 here, Chrissy. I think the emotional intelligence is extremely important. She said that well, because you need to be able to express your feelings. You need to be able to be strong enough, and this is where a lot of us fail. Okay.
Yeah, and what she's saying is exactly right.
So
Exactly
what I'm
right.
saying is, when I say fail, we let our selfish needs get involved. We let our wants get involved. We let our take over what we intelligently know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sometimes good things take time. Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to wait a little bit. Sometimes you have to be slow and steady to win a race.
And that
Okay?
is what the man's argument is in this scenario. And the woman felt a certain way and wanted to talk about it, and she let it go. She believes what he says. He says, I slept with somebody and I went out with other people, but you were the one I wanted, and I was taking it slow with you because I really thought you were special. I thought you were special, and I didn't want to just jump in and F it up, so to speak. He was a little reticent. He was a little apprehensive about asking her out. He wanted to take his time. And she listened and she accepted that. She's like,
Okay,
okay,
now
yeah.
going back to, I'm gonna introduce a portion of last week into this week without going off on a tangent, because it makes a little bit of sense. Okay.
Yeah.
You're in a relationship that's ending. Okay. So now you're dating, even though you're not completely out of the other relationship. Okay.
So like you're getting divorced, but you're not divorced yet.
Yeah. Okay. Call it that. But I'm not even,
Okay.
yeah, we can call it that, but not necessarily divorce scenario, but could be. Okay.
That's true, Christy.
There is a dead bedroom syndrome in that relationship, which is
The
one
one
of the
that's ending.
reasons it's failing. Okay.
Yeah.
So you decide to date, but you still have feelings for this other person and history with this other person. So while you're dating someone, are you using that person, okay, to shield the needs, shield the void,
Are you
or
using them
are
for
you
sex?
not using your emotional intelligence, okay, to fix the other scenario?
Right.
Okay. Meanwhile, everybody's dating everybody. The other person, you're seeing this person who's ending another relationship. Maybe you're seeing somebody else, and now your head's all twisted up. You don't have a chance to really conceptualize what you want to do, what you think.
Yeah, it's that distraction that I was talking about.
Right.
And when somebody is getting
That's where I'm
divorced,
getting this. Right.
yeah, if somebody's getting divorced because of a dead bedroom situation, and probably more than that, but that's the motivating main factor.
What creates that? What brings
Well,
that
that's what
on?
and that's what I was going to say. I would hope that they attempted wholeheartedly to find solutions to that problem. But the unfortunate thing is sometimes by the time a couple realizes they're in a dead bedroom situation, one of them, almost never both of them, but sometimes both, but it's gone. It's gone and it's not coming back. It happens way too often. They've waited too long. They got too distracted by life. And when they finally said, I'm not happy, there was no fixing it, because fixing it is not that difficult. It's all about desire to fix it. And at that point, a lot of people can't even fathom being intimate with that partner any longer. And especially for women, they can't go back. It's like once that
I
door
tell you,
closes, it's over.
Chrissy, you're on fire tonight, and I thank you for your comments. You're absolutely right. Your heart and mind are
Yeah.
not always in the same place,
Yeah.
and I think your heart and mind are the biggest. It should be Rocky Balboa in the ring with the other guy. I forget his name, Apollo. Constantly battling, constantly fighting. Your heart, your mind, your heart, your mind, your heart, your mind. And then there's a third one in there, so it's almost like a threesome boxing round. Your emotions, your physical wants. So you got your heart, your mind, your physical wants, and they're all fighting each other to come to some decision, and nothing. It's like politics. Nobody can come to a reasonable decision, you know. So you got to have like a government shutdown in your head.
And so doesn't it stand to reason, if we're sitting here talking about this and it's so confusing and it's so difficult and it's so, overwhelming at times, doesn't it stand to reason that the one thing you want to do that's within your control is to have as little distraction as possible? So dating other people when you're still dealing with an issue would be a major distraction that you need to grow up and realize that you need to clean up one issue before you start other issues.
And we all make that mistake, myself included. One issue doesn't get cleaned up, you go into another, to another, to another. Your mind becomes mashed potatoes, and it's a disaster.
Right.
I've been there a million times. And I know it. It's my own fault. I do it to myself.
Yeah.
And you are so on point, Chrissy, like I said, about
excuse me.
Salud. Being in the same place. All right. Women want to feel confidence. Women want to feel loved. People want to hear, I think about you, I miss you, I this, I that. If you mean it, if you feel it. Words are words. You got to back them up.
Yeah, you got to have actions.
Now, like I said, you're in a relationship. You're dating somebody. That person's dating somebody else. There's people involved that don't even know each other, and it's like, whoa. When do you bring it home? Right. What do you do? What do you do?
And I think I think that what you're talking about is also a good, sign that it's time to make a decision. If things start getting so distracting that you're suffering in trying to, figure out which one is your ideal, you can't get a handle on it because you're so distracted just by being with multiple people. Then it's time to consider things.
Let me ask you a question. Same scenario. Okay. You're dating someone. You're dating someone else. But the someone else that you're dating is in a relationship that's coming to an end. You met that person. You obviously met them at different times. You meet someone. Okay. You just meet, and it's charismatic. Are you falling asleep?
No.
Am I boring you?
No.
What's going on over here?
I was not falling asleep.
I saw eyes closed. I saw head popped to the side. What's happening here?
Stop it.
All right. So anyway, there's a little delay. So those eyes, I know they do.
Is this better?
Oh yeah. Anyway, now, is it to the person you're seeing that's in a relationship that's failed, on the way out, whatever? Was it fate that you met? Was it a distraction that you met? And then what happens to the other person?
To the one that's on their way out?
And the person that you're dating.
Well, and this is why you shouldn't do that, because that is very hurtful to probably everybody on some level. It's just not a good idea to do that. And we, everybody does it at some point or another, probably. And it never goes right. It's an emotional roller coaster because, and you're doing it to yourself. So
you need to wear a Piccolini pin bracelet that's got the horn and got the hands and ward off the evil. Okay, and get them now, because I'm going to get about 17 more of them and like a full sleeve and have them all going strong, because you need a Piccolini pin.
Yeah, Donna, I totally get what you're saying. I agree. It is so much simpler to date one person, but you know what? The way things are in the world today with the dating sites and what have you, it rarely happens. People have like that, your dance card, and it's full, and they just go from person to person to person to person to person. Now, hopefully they go from person to person to person. And then when somebody strikes their interest, they hold off, they stop, they put the dance card away, and they concentrate on that one person. Unfortunately, like with Mike, his situation, it didn't happen that way. He's like, I'm dating. And he said something else. He said, while dating, I was looking for my person, but was open to flings. I spent time cultivating a relationship via chat with my potential person, but barely talked to the fling woman. Bad idea, I guess. So he didn't spend time. He didn't do what I just said, right? And this is why I'm not saying what he did was bad. I'm saying it's a cautionary tale because it causes confusion. It can cause hurt feelings if people don't understand what happened. If you're dealing with multiple people, it's just, why do that to yourself? But a lot of people, especially if you're new to the dating world, don't understand. They're like a kid in the candy store, and they are just filling up that dance card, and they are
That
meeting
I
and
agree
meeting and
with.
meeting and meeting and meeting,
However,
and then they might be open to.
in my business, in the entertainment business, being out and about, many divorcees, year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, 3 days, out.
What,
Like,
Chrissy? What cheating?
out. What's that? Oh.
Oh no, I just was asking Chrissy.
Oh.
Do you consider what cheating? No, you're right. You're right. Usually people who have been in a long-term relationship, and especially if they're dealing with a dead bedroom situation, which is a lot of people's, is usually when people are headed for a divorce, or when they're in the middle of a divorce, they haven't had sex in a long time because the relationship wasn't good and they were faithful people. They weren't out there having affairs. So therefore, if they may have been in a dead marriage for 5-10 years, and that is possible, in which case they may not make good decisions. They sincerely will feel like a kid in a candy store, and they will probably make bad decisions. And that's why I said I'm not judging anybody for doing it. I'm saying it's a cautionary tale. Learn from listening to all of this. Learn and say, is this what I want to do? Do I want to, as Mike said, do I want to keep myself open for flings? Maybe that's not a good idea. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's what you want. Maybe you don't mind the emotional roller coaster, but it's
I
something
think
to think about before you do it, before you
here's what I
multiple
think.
date. It's just
Okay,
worth thinking about.
here's what I think, and I want to thank our sponsor, Piccolini Pins, Angela. What she said there: some people are perpetual daters, love the
Yes.
thrill and the
Yes.
chance, and they get bored after a few weeks, go back to talking to strangers and a new person and blah blah blah. Absolutely.
And that's part of the problem with the way we date today, with all the
Yes,
apps.
that's how we get here. However, those people don't necessarily know their own selves. They don't know their own feelings. They don't know their own, anything. All right. So I agree with that 100%. But
And Mike just said,
okay.
well, I was just saying, Mike just said, Donna, you seem to disagree with the idea of a dating pool. If I ever had to date again, I'd agree with you. Dating pools are playing with fire. They are not cheating, but they are risky. And that's all I'm saying. That's why I keep pointing out, I'm not blaming anybody for bad decisions, but it can be risky. You could potentially lose the person that you think is your person because they might not agree with that. And if they feel strongly.
Now, Christine, you and I have had many conversations this week about many different things. And here's something I'm going to say. And I think it's the person that's in a relationship, that's dating or coming out of a relationship, that's seeing someone, whether it's fate or distraction or whatever, and they're seeing that person seeing someone else or whatever. You have to do a balancing act. You have to decide where you see yourself the most, and you got to keep moving. Even if the progress feels small, okay? Growth happens in baby steps, okay? It's not just about the finish line. Take it one step at a time. So if you feel X person is giving you this, oh, wow, but Y person you like is not giving you everything you like, you got to decide, am I willing to take the baby steps? Am I willing to grow and see where it goes? Or do I want this fast and furious scenario and may or may not blow up in my face?
Yeah, part of adulting is making hard decisions. Part of adulting is having integrity, being an example for your kids, all the things. Um, and and if you do decide that you want a long-term relationship, you're looking for your person, but in the meantime, you're going to have flings, that you're open to that, then you just have to, I think, and I'm not shaming or judging, but I think you need to think that through. You need to think it through to the end. What is the potential risk? The potential risk is that when you find your person and and she finds out, like, okay, with you, Chris, I'm not saying it was true, but what happened when we first started our podcast? Oh, he's a player. Stay away from him. All the women don't like it. All this stuff people are saying. Now, I'm not saying it's true, but now imagine if you were a player and that's how it plays out. And maybe you find the woman that you think is going to be your person, and she hears all this and she's like, and it's true. Maybe it's true. Maybe you do sleep around. You're open to flings, like Mike said.
Hey, I should be
No.
so lucky.
I'm just saying, but then your person, maybe it's the risk you take. She could find out and say, yeah, that's not really for me. That no, thank you. Bye. And it's the risk you take. You just be cautious. Just be cautious. Think your decisions through to what could happen. That's all.
I agree. I'm going to bring it back to
I agree, Chrissy.
the emotional intelligence.
And thank you.
And deciding, why do you want to be with a person? Why do you not want to be with a person? All right. Is there no sexual desire? Is there something else going on? Get to the root of it. Relationships are not easy. You're with someone.
I was just going to say, look what Chrissy just wrote, because that's what you need to do. That's where these non-negotiables come in to play. That's when you have to sit down and you don't have to write a list, but you need to remember what your priorities are, what your non-negotiables are. And if they are breaking those, if they aren't hitting at least your non-negotiables, then you may want to move on. I mean, this is why
I'm not getting back into the non-negotiables, because you and I, we had some thought on that, but.
Well, Chris, you have a non-negotiable, which I think you found out recently. You found out a lot about yourself, and you have a non-negotiable. You require a certain type of affection, intimacy, and communication from somebody.
Yes.
And if you didn't learn the lesson that you need that, and that's negotiable for you, you're not going to be a happy Chris, rounded happy Chris, unless you find somebody who is going to meet those needs for you, and that also receives what you have to give. That's a non-negotiable.
I agree.
See, we can talk about it.
We can. I'm going to say it over and over and over and over and over. It really boils down to that. I love that statement, that emotional intelligence. You've got to separate your physical needs, your mental wants, and you got to be intelligent about this and say, hey, this works for me, this doesn't. What's a better scenario? It's no different than a business decision. Even though it's a decision of the heart, it's still a decision. Excuse me. That has to be made. Has to be made.
You're right. And if you make that decision in that manner with emotional intelligence and maturity, then you are more likely to make a correct decision. But if you jump into intimacy and sex and I'll just say it, flings or whatever, if you lead with that, you are asking for confusion and distraction and emotional roller coasters. It's just what it is. And if that's how you want to live your life, that's okay. Go for it. Just be transparent with people. That's all. Just be transparent with them. Tell them this is how you live your life. And they'll either say, yeah, that's cool, or they'll say, no, I don't like it. End of story. It's that easy.
Yeah, I agree. Well, what I do agree with is that everyone today made fantastic scenarios, fantastic comments,
Yeah,
great
contributions
stuff.
were great.
Uh, for Piccolini Pins made some great comments. Tom, Angela's fantastic. Everything is handmade. You'll want to see them for sure, men and women. It's great gifts. I'm wearing them. We're going to get Christine some bracelets. She'll
Yeah.
look fabulous with her new sleeve.
Oh, you're
Um,
gonna put a necklace on my dragon.
she's
On the
warding
female.
off her own evil. Oh my lord. So with that being said, next week we are going to tap back into the dead bedroom syndrome, sexless marriage, only because I need 2 weeks to catch up. I have a lot to say about that and where does that happen and how can it be stopped?
How can it be? How can it be stopped? How can it be fixed? When is it too late and it's time to walk away? There's lots to say about it.
Relationships are hard to get, easy to break.
Aren't we learning that?
And what makes you strong? So next week we'll talk about that. Tune in. It's 8:00. We had a great hour. Hey, Christine, fabulous. I know you spent a wonderful day today having Bob's Big Belly sandwiches and stuff. I don't know exactly.
I didn't. He did. That was his embarrassing confession. All I had today was a little bit of meat. Carnivore.
Well, I'll just let that go.
Yeah, I meant hamburger.
Sorry, Mike. Just going to let that go, pal.
Oh
Ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week when we talk about dead bedroom syndrome, how to overcome it, how to fix a relationship, how to stay strong. Love you guys. Christine, peace out, girl. I love you.
All right. Love y'all. See you Tuesday.
See you Tuesday. See you in your streams.
Yeah.